Hello, this is Mrs. Fontanes again. This is part two of cellular structures. We talked about how the basic cells have DNA, ribosomes, cytoplasm, and cell membrane. But we also found out that there are two types of cells. We have prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes do not have internal organs or organelles, but eukaryotic cells do. So let's look at this. Here we see a mitochondria. This is a microscopic picture of a cell, and you can see an organelle inside it. It has a specific function, in this case, energy production. We see here a more detailed picture of a eukaryotic cell, and you can see the different types of organelles inside them. Remember, organelles are small organs, and each one of these structures has a job to do. So we have some examples of eukaryotic cells: plant cells, animal cells, fungi, and protists. So here we have the animal cell, because there's no cell wall in here. You can see the nucleus very easily. Let's look over here. This is a plant cell. You can see the cell wall. Very easy, very thick wall here. It has cytoplasm, it has a nucleus, it has other organelles in there. And of course we have fungi, represented here by mushrooms. And here's a planaria. Planaria is a type of one-celled organism or protist. So what I want you to do right now, continuing with your notes, I want you to write eukaryotes, and these are examples: plants, animals, fungi, and protists. Write this on the same paper, so all of these notes are going to be all together. So press pause now to do that. So all eukaryotes have a nucleus. Remember, that's an organelle. You can see all the different types of organelles in here. Here we got a mitochondria, chloroplast, we've got some ribosomes here, and so forth and so on, including something a little bit different. It has a cell wall. And the cell wall, actually, here's the cell membrane. And then this green part, and some of it is pretty thick, okay, some parts are thinner, are the cell wall. So plant cells have organelles. Plant cells also have a cell wall. Let's look at animal cells. Well, animal cells also have organelles. They are eukaryotic cells. They do not have a cell membrane. I'm sorry, they don't have a cell wall, but they have a cell membrane. So animal cells have organelles, but they do not have a cell wall. That's the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. But they do have a cell membrane and a nucleus, as well as cytoplasm, just like plant cells. So what are some of these organelles? Well, here we have a picture of a mitochondria. This is teeny tiny. It's inside a cell. So think of looking at your hand, all the cells there, and this is inside your cell. In fact, you have several of them. Here we have a chloroplast. These are not found in animal cells. These are only found in plants, and therefore photosynthesis. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, so another thing I want you to do is I want you to take notes on the organelles. So I want you to press pause, and I want you to copy all of this. So you're going to write down organelles. Nucleus contains the cell genetic material, DNA. It's unique to the eukaryotic cells. Ribosomes, they produce proteins and also hormones. Mitochondria produce energy and has its own DNA. Cytoplasm protects the cell structure and controls what goes in and out of there. We have chloroplasts, organelles that contain chlorophyll and in which photosynthesis takes place. It has its own DNA. So please press pause and copy this. Well, continuing after you've copied those notes, we're going to look over here. These are plant cells, and how do I know? Well, there's two things. First, I can see chloroplast. This is for photosynthesis, all right? Animal cells do not have that. Plus, cell wall. You can see how thick that cell wall is. That makes this a plant cell. Also, when you eat a carrot or apple or lettuce, it's crunchy because of the cell walls. Now, here's a picture of skin cell. These are also eukaryotic cells because they have organelles. In this case, you can very easily see the nucleus, but there are no cell walls. Instead, you're going to see cell membranes. Remember, plant cells will have both the cell membrane and the cell wall outside that cell membrane. But in eukaryotic animal cells, you're not going to see a cell wall. Here's blood cells. Now, something unique about blood cells. Red blood cells, they lose their nucleus as they mature, but not the white blood cells. And you can very easily see the very large nuclei. Well, how about some more examples of eukaryotic cells? Well, fungus. You can see the white stuff on the leaves of this plant. This plant has an infection, a fungus infection, that can hurt the plant if it's not taken care of. Here's another example of an infection, a fungus infection. It's toenail fungus. Athlete feet is also another one. But look at this. These toes, the toenails have been infected by the fungus. Until very recently, there was no treatment for it. Now we have some very good medicine that you can use so that you can take care of this. All right, so a little review. The basic cell structure found in all cell types: DNA, cytoplasm, ribosomes, and cell membranes. And we had that in that very first diagram that you drew. All right, then what are some of the differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes? Well, prokaryotes do not have a nucleus. They have no organelles, but they do have a cell wall for protection. Over here, eukaryotes, they do have a nucleus. They do have other organelles. And plant cells have a cell wall. Animal cells do not. There we go. All right, so, all right, oops. All righty, here we go. I should have taken off that other slide. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to get out some, you're going to do another thing here. You're going to draw two circles. This circle and this circle. Notice they overlap, or they go one on top of the other. This side, I want you to label that prokaryotes. This side, I want you to label it, and let me leave this up a little bit. This side, I want you to label it eukaryotes. Okay? All right. So let's fill this in. Well, cytoplasm, where would it go? Prokaryotes and eukaryotes both. So what they both have will go in here. So they both have cytoplasm. But the eukaryotes have nuclei, but not prokaryotes. Same thing with the chloroplast. Chloroplast is an organelle. It's one of those organelles in the list that you wrote down. Okay, so eukaryotes are going to have that. Prokaryotes do not have any of those organelles. Cell membrane, yes, that's a basic structure. So even the prokaryotes are going to have that. DNA, they both have that. And they both have ribosomes. Another thing that I want you to add to this is that prokaryotes, examples are archaea and bacteria. They are prokaryotes. Examples for eukaryotes are animals. I should have put animal cells, but animals, plants, fungi, and protists are examples of eukaryotes. So press pause and copy this. All right, the next section we're going to be talking about, and we're just going to introduce it today, is symbiosis. Well, symbiosis. Well, what does this word mean? All right, well, scientists long time ago, remember, they came from different countries and they decided instead of learning 100 languages so they can communicate with each other, they decided to pick Latin and Greek. So these are word roots that they put together so they can make new words to describe their new discoveries. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a moment, press pause, and I want you to copy these word roots. These word roots are very important for you because they're going to help you understand the many scientific terms that we are going to be studying. They will help you really for the rest of your life. And this is just the beginning. We're going to be learning more. So, what is it that you have to turn into me? This was in the very first slide of the first video. Number 1, basic structures of the cell diagram. And again, these slide numbers are off, maybe by one slide. You're going to have your notes, the organelles that distinguishes prokaryotes from eukaryotes. You're also going to tell me the types of karyotes. One thing that I forgot to put in here, but I already told you to do it, was the list of organelles and their functions. The Venn diagram that we just finished, and the list of word roots. So what you're going to do is once you're all finished with that, you're going to take a picture of it and email it to me.